All right, this is Proverbs 11. Kris+Kurtis,
Excited.
whatever that means, right?
Only my generation knows what it means.
2016 lingo, Dad.
It's true.
Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord. That was verse 1. But a just weight is his delight. 2. When pride comes, then comes shame. But with the humble is wisdom. He's hypnotizing you while I read this. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. What do you think of that? Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. Did you know that?
Duh.
The day of wrath refers to when we die, or the time when God settles accounts with all people. On Judgment Day, each of us will stand alone, accountable for all our deeds. Did you know that? At that time, no amount of riches can buy reconciliation with God. Only our love for God and obedience to Him will count. Did you know that?
Maybe.
Well, now you do.
Bruh.
Alright, verse 5. The righteousness of the blameless will direct his way aright, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright will deliver them, but the unfaithful will be caught by their lust. When a wicked man dies, his expectation will perish, and the hope of the unjust perishes. The righteous is delivered from trouble, and it comes to the wicked instead. The notes on that? These verses, like chapter 10, verse 3, contrast two paths in life, but are not intended to apply universally to all people in all circumstances. God's people are not excluded from problems or struggles. If a person follows God's wisdom, however, God can rescue him or her from trouble. But a wicked person will fall into his own traps. Even if good people suffer, they can be sure they will ultimately be rescued from eternal death. What that doesn't bring in is God's sovereignty, which means He's in control of everything. Alright, verse 9. The hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous will be delivered. And there's a note on that. The mouth can be used either as a weapon or a tool. Hurting relationships or building them up. Sadly, it is often easier to destroy than to build, and most people have received more destructive comments than those that build up. Every person you meet today is either a demolition site or a construction opportunity. Your words will make a difference. Will they be weapons for destruction or tools for construction? Important to think about. We'll go to verse 10. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there is jubilation. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his peace. A talebearer reveals secrets. It says right there, a talebearer reveals secrets. But he who is of a faithful spirit conceals a matter. 14. There's something wrong with your ear, son. You should fix it. That's not what it says, by the way. Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And we have a note on that. A good leader needs and uses wise counselors. Okay? You want to be a good leader?
Yeah.
Then know and use wise counselors. People that know more than you. Okay?
Those are called teachers, not counselors.
Yeah, teacher can be a counselor. If they're counseling you on something other than what they're teaching in class, teaching, they're counseling.
When I hear a counselor, I think of someone that's going to a psychiatrist or something.
Psychiatrist could be a counselor. It's not necessarily the label of a counselor, but somebody who gives you counsel is somebody who gives you advice. That could be anybody. But one person's perspective and understanding is severely limited. He or she may not have all the facts or may be blinded by bias, emotions, or wrong impressions. So that's why it's important to get that third-party impression. To be a wise leader at home, at church, or at work, seek the counsel of others and be open to their advice, even if they tell you things you don't want to hear. Okay? Then, after considering all the facts, make your decision. Sounds good. I'm going to go to verse 15. He who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being surety is secure. A gracious woman retains honor, but ruthless men retain riches. The merciful man does good for his own soul, but he who is cruel troubles his own flesh. The wicked man does deceptive work, but he who sows righteousness is yawning. No, he who sows righteousness will have a sure reward. As righteousness leads to life, so he who pursues evil pursues it to his own death. We have a note on that. Righteous people attain life because they live life more fully each day. That's right, fully. They also attain life because people usually live longer when they live right, with proper diet, exercise, and rest. In addition, they need not fear death because eternal life is God's gift to them, as it says in John 11:25. By contrast, evil people not only find eternal death, but also miss out on real life on earth. All right, verse 20. Those who are of a perverse heart are an abomination to the Lord, but the blameless in their ways are his delight. Though they join forces, the wicked will not go unpunished, but the posterity of the righteous will be delivered. Delivered. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a lovely woman who lacks discretion. We have the note on that. Physical attractiveness without discretion soon wears thin. We are to seek those character strengths that help us make wise decisions, not just those that make us look good. Not everyone who looks good is pleasant to live with. Not everyone who looks good is pleasant to live or work with. While taking good care of our body and appearance is not wrong, we also need to develop our ability to think.
I know.
We have our comments on the side. We're going to go to verse 23. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. Wrath. There is one who scatters yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right. but it leads to poverty. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. So by watering your dog, you're watering yourself. Putting water in your dog's bowl, you're getting water yourself. Good job, son. These two verses present a paradox, that we become richer by being generous. What an odd thing. That's what they just talked about in church today. The world says to hold on to as much as possible, but God blesses those who give freely of their possession, time, and energy. When we give, God supplies us with more so that we can give more. In addition, giving helps us gain a right perspective on our possessions. We realize that they were never really ours to begin with, but they were given to us by God to be used to help others. What then do we gain by giving? Freedom from enslavement to our possessions, the joy of helping others, and God's approval. Verse 26. The people will curse him who withholds grain, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. He who earnestly seeks good finds favor. He waves around the air like a floppy fish. Floppy fish. He who earnestly seeks good finds favor, but trouble will come to him who seeks evil. He who trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish like foliage. He who troubles his own house will inherit the wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise of heart. A note on that: one of the greatest resources God gives us is the family.
Oh. I thought it was intelligence.
No, it's the family. One of the greatest resources God gives us is the family. Families provide acceptance, encouragement, guidance, and counsel. Bringing trouble on your family, whether through anger or through exaggerated desire for independence, is foolish because you cut yourself off from all they provide. In your family, strive for healing, communication, and understanding.
I need my independence.
We don't want exaggerated desire for independence because you will bring trouble to our family. We don't want that. You will be cut off from all we provide. That would be bad. Okay, so now we're on to verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. A wise person is a model of a meaningful life. Like a tree attracts people to its shade, his or her sense of purpose attracts others who want to know how they too can find meaning. Gaining wisdom yourself, then, can be the first step in leading people to God. Leading people to God is important because it keeps us in touch with God while offering others eternal life. Verse 31, if the righteous will be recompensed on the earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? Contrary to popular opinion, no one sins and gets away with it. The faithful are rewarded for their faith. The wicked are punished for their sins. Don't think for a moment that it won't matter, or nobody will know, or we won't get caught. See also 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 18 for more on that subject. And so we thank you for joining us for Proverbs 11, the 11th of December. This is Curtis. This is Kris.
2 weeks till Christmas.
He says 2 weeks till Christmas.
That rhymed. This is Kris. This is Kris. 2 weeks till Christmas.
No, Curtis, Kris. 2 weeks till Christmas.
Kris. That's okay.
So, have a good evening.
Bye.